In the United States, we know that children riding their bicycles, even today people riding bicycles to work, are involved in accidents frequently. In fact, over 500,000 emergency room visits a year are related to bicycle accidents. And as a result of that, people have a lot of questions about whether or not they can recover for those injuries, because accidents involving bicycles, especially those where the bicyclist is hit by an automobile, are oftentimes very severe. And so we get questions very frequently about what the legal rights are of people involved in these accidents. Most people don't realize that in the eyes of the law, a bicyclist is actually treated much more like an automobile than it is a pedestrian when it comes to evaluating what your responsibilities are as a bicyclist. There are actually vehicle code sections that apply to bicyclists. And so if you're interested in those, our website has a link to them, and so you can understand what your responsibilities are in terms of how you have to operate a bicycle and how to operate it safely. A lot of times people will ask us, as they learn, even if they violated one of the vehicle code sections. For example, if they're riding on a sidewalk or they're riding in the opposite direction of traffic, which both of those things are technically prohibited under most of the municipal codes or vehicle codes. Still, if they're involved in an accident and are injured, they'll wonder whether or not they have legal rights and can recover. And in California, that may be an issue of comparative fault, but it's important to know that if you're seriously injured, you can still recover and still might have legal rights to recover for your injuries, even if you are partially at fault for the accident. And so that's an important time to consult with a lawyer to evaluate how the accident happened and whether or not, based upon his or her experience, whether you might have the right to recover for those injuries. It's also important to remember that your accident and your injuries have to be covered by insurance, or at least you hope they are, because if they're serious, a person operating an automobile very rarely will have personal assets sufficient to be able to compensate you for those injuries. So it's important, at least we hope, that that automobile operator will have sufficient insurance. But one thing that a lot of people don't recognize is that even if that person who caused the accident operating the vehicle might not have sufficient insurance to compensate you for your damages, your medical bills, your pain and suffering, time off of work where you might lose wages. Oftentimes, your own insurance, your underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage, can provide you the coverage that you need. And the lawyers that you consult with will be able to talk to you about whether or not your insurance would come into play and provide you with some type of a safety net to compensate you for those injuries. But because bicycle accidents are very frequent, they involve issues of law that oftentimes personal injury lawyers even might not be familiar with unless they're involved frequently with bicycle accidents, you should consult with a lawyer very quickly about your accident to determine whether you have legal rights, especially if your accident might involve not just the negligence of a vehicle operator, but sometimes even dangerous conditions of the roadway that might involve governmental tort claims that also carry with them complex issues of filing and tort claim filing, statutes of limitations and those types of things, and more complex issues to evaluate. So again, it's important that you seek consultation with a lawyer who's very experienced in bicycle accidents. I've handled many myself over the years. My partners and lawyers in my firm have. So if you've got questions, feel free to contact us at any time.